I'm happy to tell everybody watched Torah Talks this week. The entire world watched it. And Rabs won. The ban, it cannot happen in Santa Monica. They're not going to try to get the signatures. However, it's too late already for San Francisco. It's already on the ballot. So let's just see what San Francisco does with it. I personally think at this point it's been exposed and they'll vote it down. That's my prediction. You know, because like once the proponents have already thrown in the white flag, it's like everybody just goes, like screw it. And I think that's the end of the entire Parsha. I think that they took the wind out of their sails, right. And if they hadn't put out the stupid cartoon, right, if they hadn't gone that distance, they'd be in business and they'd have momentum, right? This is my personal opinion. I think, but they let themselves reveal, a Jew who has the Yetzer Hara burning couldn't just shut the fuck up and make it a argument about circumcision. No, they had to go the extra step, make it anti-Semitic, and everybody knows the motives, and I think it's over with. That's my personal opinion. Because at that point, if you can go ahead and put that kind of stuff out there and legitimize it, why can't we, make similar cartoons about like the gays in San Francisco? It should be open season for anything. If you can demonize and depict people like that, then you can do it for everybody. And obviously they would be very upset by that. So I think it's the end of it. What do you think? Do you agree with me on any of that?
Yeah, I agree with much of it. What I got a kick out of is that you thought I should ban all the comments.
We're going to talk about that. I want to get into that.
Because when I posted the video, suddenly all the...
How did they sniff them out?
I'm sure there's a group of activists, and whenever a circumcision comes up,
okay.
New video, they immediately all pile on.
Oh, is that what happens?
Yeah.
And every scum bucket in the planet comes flying out of the cupboard. So that's the only thing that you disagree. But everything I just said otherwise, you're with me on it.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about that. So last week, I pulled out of the show a 3-minute segment where I was going off on the circumcisions in Santa Monica, right? And the reason I went off the reason why I picked that one is because my nephew, little shout out, said that was the best part of the entire show. So we put it out there, and I put a copy of it on my YouTube, and absolutely nobody looked at it, right? And he put a copy of it on his YouTube, which normally nobody looks at either, but for some bizarre reason, this thing went viral and spiral, right? And it's because you had the word circumcision in it, right? Whereas I just went like Rabs goes off on Santa Monica.
Yeah.
Like nobody cares about Santa Monica, but you talk about circumcision, and apparently, boom, that is a key word that goes flying. And the next thing you know, it was like the Third Reich was in there. And they were, spray painting his entire YouTube comment section with swastikas. It was grotesque, the things that they said in there. Like, the Jews have got to give up this stuff. We've got to make them give this up. They've been doing this for at least 100 years now. Did you read that one? Here's a brilliant thinker. The guy said, or the person said, the Jews have been doing this for at least 100 years. I'm thinking, no. I thought we just started doing brisses, 3 weeks ago. This is quite a shocker. And they're like, well, we don't mind them doing it, but they gotta wait till they're 18. The Jews, we gotta make them give this stuff up. And I'm like, oh my God, this is how anti-Semitism works. This is classic anti-Semitism. First they tell you that you can't practice your religion, and then you have to leave, and then they have no place for you to go because the same people say, oh, you're not welcome over there, and you're not welcome over there, and we don't want you to have the state of Israel because that makes us nervous. Give that to the Palestinians. And so basically you have to board trains, and you go to camps, and they give you a shower, right? So this is like classic anti-Semitism. Okay, so Levi had like tons of this stuff underneath his video, and I said, Levi, what the fuck? You can't, what are you doing? You're giving these anonymous commenters, these cowards who hide behind their mother's dress, because you don't even know who they are, they don't have a name or anything, and they post they spew their anti-Semitic hatred all over. There's like 20 comments in a row. There's nobody arguing against them. Levi's not going to argue against them. And I don't argue. Here's my rule, folks. Rabs does not argue on the internet against people who, unless they announce to me who they are. Because it's what's called a asymmetrical war. It's asymmetrical warfare. They are acting like cowards. They're guerrillas. I don't know who you are. You know who I am? that fair? So until you are able to show me who you are, we can't even have a discussion. Second, if you come onto my wall on YouTube or you come onto my Facebook wall, a little respect. You're walking into my house, you have to say, okay, I understand this is your religion and I respect it, but I have a few issues, and my issues are medical. Would you care to hear my response? You know, and if you, I will accept. You don't have to agree with me, but you have to be respectful in my house. Okay, you can't just come in and go, oh, you Jews, you know, load them up and send them to the camps. You know, that's not going to fly. That's like spray painting on my wall a swastika. Okay, when you spew Nazi rhetoric on my Facebook wall, you're no longer one of my friends, and you're going to be blocked. It happened to a guy this week. A Jewish guy came in and started spewing all this nonsense. I'm finding that most of the anti-Semitism about circumcisions is coming from Jewish anti-Semites, self-hating Jews, okay? And I just booted his ass, deleted his comments, and blocked him. I don't even think about it twice. I won't tolerate that shit on my house. Okay, so I'm saying to Levi, why don't you delete all these people and block them? Delete their comments, block them. They should not have access to our wall. And if you're really smart, you shut down the comments. Then you don't have to bother with it at all. You don't have to. Nobody can comment. It's a fair playing field. And the smart Jewish organizations, when they put up a YouTube, they don't want to have to, like, you know, manage it. They just, no comments allowed. Now, I want to hear your rebuttal for it.
Well, I went through the comments and I didn't see anything that was explicitly anti-Jewish. So I read through all of them, and there was no Nazi talk, there was no death camp talk, there was no let's do anything bad to Jews talk. What there was anti-circumcision talk. So I would agree that just as when a group of people hate God or deny God's existence, that's bad for Jews. And in effect, that's anti-Jewish. So too, when people are for burning circumcision and are against the ritual of circumcision, that also is anti-Jews and bad for the Jews. But I'm not going to shut down that argument. I'm going to, like, I have deleted a lot of posts and blocked a lot of posters who...
Oh, you did?
Not in that thread, but in other threads where people deny the existence of the Holocaust.
Oh,
So
that's just...
I delete and block.
It's all the same. It's
But
all
if
the
someone,
same genre.
But for me, an argument against circumcision is no different than, say, making an argument against God's existence. So they're both equally anti-Jewish. Like, we brought the idea of God into the world, and we carry the burden of God in history. And when people hate on God, deny God, deride God, and urinate on God, that's bad for the Jews, and it's anti-Jewish. But I'm not going to shut down that discussion. And so too with the discussion on circumcision. So long as there's no calls for doing anything bad against Jews, if people just want to argue plainly on the facts of circumcision, I think that, like, just on the surface, if you don't come to it with any perspective, when you just hear circumcision's fine, just wait till the kids are 18 and they can choose for themselves. But on the face of it, that sounds like a compelling position, and I'm not going to shut it down, even though in effect it is anti-Jewish.
Okay, I have a couple of responses to that.
Mm-hmm.
My first general response, and you may not like this, and I may not even be allowed to say this halachically, but I'm going to do it, is I was thinking that maybe that part of the reason, or maybe the whole reason, why we don't see eye to eye on this is because you didn't grow up with anti-Semitism. You're kind of new to this game.
Yeah.
So.
And I've never experienced it.
Right. I've been alive for 50 years.
Have you ever experienced it?
Oh, sure. Not like this, though. This is really gross. This
no, but like in personal real life.
Sure.
Like what?
I've been yelled things like Jew boy, Jew boy, Jew boy.
I don't think that's really anti-Semitic.
No,
yeah, it's like borderline crude. Like, I've had people like yell, "Hey, Jew!"
Right, and
when I walk down the road with a yarmulke on in like a Goyish area.
Right, in Sacramento, I've been walking down the street just like this with my payas out. Right. And people are like, "Whoa!"
But no one's like ever beaten me up for it.
Nah.
So yeah.
Right. But like the kind of stuff that I'm talking about is like internet stuff.